Hi, my name is Hayley and I am a paramedic in London, Ontario. I would say the last year has been a bit of a roller coaster ride. Both my husband and I are paramedics and we're used to dealing with stress in our job. However, I don't think that anything compared to the stress of facing this pandemic head on, sort of going up against a virus that we really didn't know anything about, constantly being fearful that one of us will be exposed and that we'll bring it home to our families. Also, I guess the fear of not being able to adequately protect ourselves, with the potential of the PPE shortage. Also just feeling the stress of people around us being fearful of the same. Our neighbors made it very clear that they appreciated the work that we were doing. However, they seemed quite fearful of us. They would often just leave a note and maybe some muffins or snacks or something that they've made for us and would just leave it at the end of our driveway. They're kind of seemed afraid to come any closer to us. And I think that also sort of was difficult that our kids were seeing that as well. And with both of us still going to work and all of the exposure in the media, I think probably made them a little bit more stressed out and more fearful than the average child would feel. I think they've coped quite well with all of the changes, particularly with school and everything. Also, throughout this pandemic, another stress we had was that in the first few days of 2020, we found out that I was pregnant with our fourth child. So that started out smooth sailing for the first couple of months. But shortly after my first ultrasound, the pandemic hit. We went into lockdown and pretty much any appointments were canceled from that point forward. So from about 12 weeks of my pregnancy to 32 weeks, I think I had one ultrasound and one phone call conversation with my family doctor. So for me, that was also a big added stress, sort of the unknown. Wanted to know that my baby was healthy, wanted to know that, there was still a heartbeat. And for the first, couple of months between that first ultrasound and when I could actually feel the baby moving, that was very, very stressful. I think since that was my fourth child, I sort of knew what to expect, but I can't imagine what a first-time mom or someone who was having complications would be feeling, with having all of their appointments canceled or having to go to all their appointments without their support person there to help them. I think it was definitely a very interesting experience, to say the least. We had a positive outcome, though. Our daughter was born at the end of August, healthy and happy, just sort of welcomed into the middle of a pandemic. At work, my husband has been at the front lines the entire time and has worked on the trucks. I was fortunate enough that I was part of our field training officer team at work, so I was given the opportunity to sort of split my time between working on the ambulance as well as working in our education department. With the pandemic came a lot of changes with staffing. I was able to help with training and orientation for 40 new paramedics this spring to help with sort of a huge upstaff in case that this pandemic sort of went the same direction that it had in some of the European countries as well, with all of these appointments being canceled across the board through the lockdown, that left a lot of gaps in the community. So I was able to do some training as well as help develop some curriculum for our community paramedics team, which has just grown exponentially. We were called upon to help at the assessment sites with doing COVID swabbing. So that was also an interesting experience, being, I think, 6 or 7 months pregnant and working at the assessment site, swabbing people for COVID. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. Thankfully, it was only a couple of days that I did that. However, I think something cool I gained out of that experience was that I got some exposure to more teaching with adults, and that, I guess, has helped to sort of restart my interest in furthering my education. So another positive that came out of the pandemic, I suppose, was that now that the universities have shifted to more of an online learning, while I'm on mat leave, I'm participating in a couple of courses, and hopefully that will help with opening more doors with my current place of employment and help with some of the training for my colleagues. And I think that teaching adults is definitely more of my strong suit than teaching children would be. One of the biggest challenges that I've had throughout this past year is the online learning with my kids. I knew that being a teacher was tough, but holy cow, it is utterly exhausting. My 2 school-age kids are still too young to really be able to work independently all of the time, so I spent like every single day off and every night after I was finished work helping both of them try to get through their schoolwork, as well trying to keep up with my wild child, my 3rd child, keep him entertained and keep him from disrupting my other kids. So I think also with that, we all kind of learned that you can only do what you can. You need to sort of let the rest of it go. And I think that I learned a lot from my children because their world was sort of flipped upside down. Everything was changed for them. They were seeing adults who were scared all of the time, and they sort of just rolled with the punches, and they have been amazing and adapted to every situation that has been thrown at them, including the current lockdown and this week doing online learning yet again, which is why it's almost 10 o'clock at night, and this is the first opportunity that I've had to actually sit down and do this video today. So overall, I think that this pandemic has helped me realize how grateful I am to be able to spend time with my kids over the last year. We've been able to get outside, explore all kinds of trails in our city that we maybe wouldn't have done before. It also helped us to sort of slow down and just appreciate each other's company. Before, we kind of had like a jam-packed schedule. Everybody was doing a ton of activities, including myself, and this has forced us to just sort of slow down and take things easy and kind of look for, the positive things around us and just really appreciate each other's company. So for now, I'm just enjoying the rest of my mat leave with a lot of extra time spent with my other 3 kids as well. So I guess in the end, the lockdown, I suppose, isn't so bad as long as we can keep working through all of the online schooling and just remembering that we can only do so much, and to just keep our sanity, just do what we can and enjoy our time together.